you only have a few days left with the best model in the world, because on Tuesday, Claude Fable 5 goes to pay per use, which is twice the price of Opus, making it the most expensive model to date. Now, I ran client work through this and it completely blew me away. So the next few minutes, I'm going to be walking you through the best use cases that you could be using Claude Fable 5 for while you still have it. And if you're wondering what you're going to do after the deadline, don't worry, we're going to cover that as well. So let's start with the first important use case. So the first thing you want to do before building really anything, I know a lot of us, when the models first come out, we take it and we kind of run with it and we create some net new asset that we're not really going to use. We want to avoid that as much as possible. The first thing you want to do is already audit the systems you already have. So I have a lot of GitHub repos at this point. I have my client's GitHub repo, I have my own, and what I like to do is, again, audit my existing system. So this, for instance, is just my website repo. All I'm going to do is paste this prompt in. Now, this will be linked down below. All I want you to do is just fill in your information and you'll be good to go. Go page by page for each page, find problems in those areas: clarity, trust, speed to action, copy. Again, just some very important stuff when it comes to websites. Then give me 3 things. 1, the 10 biggest problems ranked by revenue impact. 2, the exact fix for each. X, Y, and Z. I think you get the point. But as you can see, we're not going to create net new assets. You already have a lot of this information baked into your systems. If you don't have systems, then just use the model to your advantage to create those systems. Again, these prompts will be linked down below. But for this prompt, when you go to that document, you will see that this is very important to have in. Again, you want the model to help you build a better system or just improve it, not necessarily tell you how good it currently is. And as you can see, as it's currently doing the audit, we have some valuable information that it's diving into, right? So it's going to audit local SEO pages, which is super important, audit case study pages on how we can improve those, audit blog and subdomain so we can improve those. When you have a step change like Fable 5, you want to be using your assets. So let's just come back to our prompt pack. Again, this will be linked down below. But the next very important thing, obviously safety and security with these models is super important. So I'm going to copy this over because we're going to do a code base audit. So I'm going to copy and paste. We are going to do a code base audit. A few things to mention here. We're going to rank every finding from critical, high, medium, and low so you immediately know what you should be taking action on. And we're going to send that off. You want to mitigate as much wasted time, and you just want to be able to basically plug and play the new model into your system, and that's what we're doing here. You want to make sure that you have the proper type of code. You want to make sure that you can take out anything that isn't really serving the code base at that point. And you want to just a kind of a new perspective also on that code base, and that you can really evolve what you've built with the prior models. And just a pro tip here when it comes to auditing your code base, this is something you don't want to cheap out on. You do want to take the time, you do want to spend the credits on auditing your code base. Again, security is going to be a massive issue here. You can use these models now to improve your security for these later models that are coming out. And as you can see here, there's a lot of stuff that takes up your repo, whether that is a bunch of tools, whether that's just copy, whether that's code, whether that's files you're implementing. It becomes a lot of jargon sometimes very quickly, so you always want to keep refreshing it. You always want to keep improving, again, your system so your foundation can step up. And again, this is very simple. It's just with a website, but it's always best practice just to improve any type of system you have. So as we can see here, all findings verified, writing the audit report into the repo and pushing to the designated branch. So the third use case is very important. This hopefully helps you make a little bit more money, and that is simply auditing, okay, your existing templates, landing pages, or even your website in that matter. So that prompt simply looks like, here's my sales page. You can just give it your landing page, your website, whatever the case may be. Tear it down like a buyer who almost bought but didn't. Again, we want to be diving for those because those are the friction points that's actually preventing your buyers from moving forward. You want to tell me the exact moment you'd leave and why. Very important. Then rewrite the 3 weakest sections word for word: the headline, the offer, and the call to action. Show before and after side by side. From there, then you can actually take your direct response principles, or if you have any SOPs or whatever the case may be, to further enhance these choke points that the model has identified. Okay, that is very, very impactful. But I'll start by loading the CR skill and then fetch your live page to walk through it as a skeptical buyer. And again, rather just use it in cowork or chat. By all means, a lot of these prompts are flexible in that way, where you essentially don't have to be using Claude Code. So this is the full audit. This is what Fable 5 gave us. Gave us all this good raw information. We can then basically just prompt the model to carry over, right? So we have our before and after of what they would change. And it's going to give you some information that you're not even considering, right? You don't know what you don't know. So AI systems that run your business on autopilot apparently is a very common sentence for a bunch of AI agencies. All right, so I'm going to take note of that and then improve that, right? So it's going to give me some alternatives. And I'm telling you, again, you want to start using this as soon as possible because they're going to take it away from you. So you want to start just auditing everything. Again, the prompt pack is linked down below. We have some before and afters. And you're just allowing the best model on earth to audit your stuff. Why wouldn't you take advantage of that? Now, I do like to have this, so either concept or mock-up images of what the changes could potentially look like, right? So in theory, this all sounds great, but I actually want to visualize how the changes would seem. So I like finishing off with this. If I like it, I can move through and approve them. So how do you take advantage of Fable even when it's gone? Well, essentially what you're going to do, and I saw this from another creator, and it made a lot of sense in theory. We're going to test it out practically here, but what you want to do is you want to get Fable to teach Opus 4.8 how Fable would actually work. I know that might sound a little confusing, so let me show you what I mean. Before I lose access to you, write me a skill, a plain instruction document that teaches a less capable AI model to work the way you work on some type of work. Okay, that's where you're just going to implement, let's just say marketing for right now to keep things easy. Include the questions you ask before starting, how you plan before touching anything, how you check your own work as you go, when you stop and flag a problem instead of guessing, and how you verify you're actually done. Write it as a direct command. Keep it under 500 words. Again, you're trying to get the most powerful model, Fable 5, to essentially teach these lesser models, Opus 4.8 in this case, how Fable 5 thinks. This is kind of how business works, right? Everyone relies on the CEO, and then the CEO kind of distills information down you that it's learned. That's all you're doing here, and it's very powerful. So you can do this in two ways. You can do this. You can kind of just shoot it off, again, with the type of work you want it basically teaching the other models. What you can also do, so let's just put that through. What you can also do is come to your skills, actually, and all you're going to do is paste this in. Okay, now you are just going to rewrite this a little bit. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, very easy. So now what you're doing is you're grabbing the skill, and you're essentially auditing the skill and proving the skill in Fable 5's language so that when the time comes, Opus 4.8 can look at that and see what it would do differently. This is massive. I've been doing this across the board and been telling others to do the same because you always want the higher expertise teaching or distilling information to the lower individual models X, Y, and Z. I think you get the point. So now that you know what you should do when a model first comes out, it's very important to understand what the future of AI may look like. I spoke with Stefan Georgi here, who's helped generate over $1 billion in sales, and he breaks it all down for you.